All right, Bang Bang. Today is Wednesday, February 10th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. Special guest today. I'm joined by Vonda and Ellie from Flower Clique. We're talking to some flower people. Obviously, Valentine's Day is on Sunday. So we kind of wanted to know the ways about the business. Thanks for hopping on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for asking us.
Yeah, so we'll start with this. We'll start here. Assume I know absolutely zero about flowers because that's the case.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm excited to learn and hear how everything works. But first and foremost, you guys are based in Chicago, I believe, but right now you're in Florida doing some type of shoot. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, we work with local flower shops all across the country, but we had a shop in Dixon, Illinois. So.
Okay, cool. So what's the shoot like? What's a flower shoot? What does that entail for you guys?
So, when you're online and you're sending flowers to your grandma, right? You have to pick out a design, an image online. So we actually do the e-commerce side now for florists. So we have to style the shoot. She does the recipes, so what goes in each design. And our goal really that we saw as an issue in the floral industry is that what you order and then when your grandma receives it, they're completely different things, right? A lot of times you're disappointed, you overpay, things like that. So that's what we're up to here. You have anything to add?
Yeah, no, that's basically it. It's just that we want them to, what you see is what you get.
Yep.
Gotcha. And so what's the major complaint? Just the presentation wise, or is it like the lifespan? Like what's the range of complaints, I guess? I'm sure you've had a million, I'm not saying you guys have done anything wrong, but people like to complain. You get where I'm coming from. So
I
I'm
think
sure there's been a bunch.
Pictures look too perfect online. You see 10 roses in there and they're all facing you and that's what you think you're going to get. But what you don't realize is that the arrangement is all the way around. You don't realize all the components that go into that when it becomes a deliverable product. So our goal is to make it look like, if you're spending $79 online, that's what you're going to actually receive, right?
That's tough. People see the picture of the Big Mac and they don't get that, but people don't give them a hard time like they give you guys, huh?
Exactly.
You're so right. That is so right.
No, but yeah, obviously flowers are a little bit more expensive and it's usually a gift. So it's a special occasion. So it's something you definitely want to get right. So you kind of being the third party that's fair to say, right?
We are at this point, but I worked in the flower shop and owned a flower shop for 25 years. So I've been on both sides of it. So I was an employee, I was an owner, and now we're on the other side helping flower shops be more successful.
So owning your own shop, do you enjoy doing this more? Or did you enjoy your own shop more?
I enjoy doing this more.
Yeah.
Because I get to participate in the excitement and the success of others, which is pretty cool.
Okay. And did you want to start doing this because sometimes you were frustrated with what you were able to find or you needed more options? What led you to kind of go this route?
I think it's hard being a florist, especially with social media and everything nowadays. It's like it's a consumable product, so it dies, right? It's like food. It dies. Perishable. That's the word. So we just want to make it as easy for the florist, give them the tools, give them the education that they need to really grow because it's hard competing against the grocery stores, as you probably know.
Oh yeah. I've never even thought about that because I remember once I lived in New York for a short stint and I applied to be at to work for a flower guy. I remember this off of my head. And one of the big things was he would tell me like these missions he would go on to find certain flowers if he needed them by a certain date. That's a thing, right?
Yeah, it sure is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Can you get into like what's the toughest mission you've had, Vonda? I'm sure there's battle stories here.
Well, there are battle stories, but what's interesting is when you just said trying to find flowers, and that's right now at Valentine's Day, because it is the biggest demand of flowers to get, for this time of year, it's supply and demand. It's like everybody wants flowers for Valentine's Day. And so it gets more difficult to get them as well as it drives the price up. But as far as the most difficult flower to get, I think it was several years ago, it was protea, like the big king protea or the different varieties of protea in that family, which weren't popular. And now they're a little bit more easy to come by.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And how many people are just calling you up and be like, hey, we just want roses? Do you sit there and be like, hey, there's so many more than roses? Like, does it kind of bother you that there's so many beautiful things and you know the ins and outs and you're so knowledgeable about it, but people just want to be like, yeah, just give me the roses? Is that like, hey, should people branch out more? What do you think?
They're branching out a lot more, and that is because of the education of the florist. So if you call me and you say, I want roses for Valentine's Day, I say, hey, we can do beautiful roses, but let me suggest something else. We could do a variety with roses and some lilies and some premium greens and something like that's going to knock her socks off. I think that's going to be much better than roses. Want to give that a try?
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, anything to add for that, Ellie? What do you think?
I mean, roses, you kind of, as a florist, you just expect that you got to prepare. You got to order ahead. You got to order early from your wholesaler, because the flowers are coming from Colombia or Ecuador, right? Or the roses specifically. And so with that, like she was saying, supply and demand, everybody asks, why are they so expensive around the holiday? That's why. So it's not our fault. It goes down the chain.
Well, that's actually because I reached out and I had people ask questions and they were like, well, why are it's not right that these flower shops juice up the prices around holidays when they know everybody wants them. So I think a lot of people will be refreshed to hear that answer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's just so that we are covering our butts, and we're actually making money as well. You have to do that in order to operate successfully and make money.
Definitely. And Vonda, when you were in the height of the game, what your best Valentine's Day, how many roses are we talking?
Oh, you're talking thousands. I mean, 5,000 to 6,000 for our small town, which Dixon was 16,000 people. So that's a lot of roses for that size of town. But we have a shop in Florida, Fort Pierce. I think he's got 12,000 roses ordered for the day. So, that's a lot of roses in one location.
That's a lot. And how that's like 12 in one. What's like a standard bouquet? I don't even know.
Usually a dozen. That's
Okay.
kind of the common thing. People will send a dozen roses for Valentine's Day.
Yep.
Okay. And then after Valentine's Day, Mother's Day's next, graduation. What's the pecking order here?
The single busiest day of the year is Valentine's Day. The more orders go out during Valentine's Day than any single day of the year. Second would be Mother's Day. Mother's Day, people will send to moms for like 3 or 4 days, so it's not quite as crazy on one day. And then is the whole month of December. So Christmas, it would be the third in that pecking order, as you call it.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Christmas. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I really wouldn't have expected that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, a lot of centerpieces for family and for friends, for gifts for the holidays.
Wow. Okay. And what's your is Valentine's Day, like how much in advance are you guys getting these orders from Colombia, and how far do you got to be ahead?
You have to buy on speculation. So you have to look from last year, anticipate growth to this year, and you just have to commit to that order and hope that you sell them.
Wow. So I never thought of this either. You guys are pro relationship, huh?
Oh yeah, you have to be, right?
Like
Exactly.
you need all the people to hop in these relationships. You're like, if you're single, find someone to send some flowers to.
There you go.
Wow. That's pretty funny. And obviously, like, I assume you guys like flowers, right?
Of course.
We love flowers.
And
Okay.
it's assumed that because we work in the business that we don't need to receive them, but it's kind of our favorite thing to get them too. So
Absolutely.
Is it so? What's your favorite, Ellie?
I like pink roses and I like lilies because they smell really fragrant.
Okay, and what's your favorite, Vonda?
Mine are a little bit more unusual. The protea actually are my favorite flower.
They're
Very
very
okay.
long lasting. They're big. They're showy.
spiky.
Yeah, and they're soft though. They
There
look
we go.
really.
Vonda's got the fancy taste. I like it. So then how did you was it always kind of something like you wanted to do, like stay in the family business, or what was the deal there? Yeah.
I grew up in the flower shop since I was 2 days old. So, I was working in the front room in 4th grade, making designs by high school. So it was very natural. I went to school at Iowa State for interior design, but couldn't stay away from flowers too much longer.
Yeah, there you go. And Vonda, did you always know you wanted to do it?
No, I started in a flower shop when I was 14 and just thought, oh, this will be a part-time job. But then kind of like it got into me that there's nothing I'd rather do.
Oh, nice. And on Valentine's Day specifically, do you think flowers versus chocolate, that's like Bears Packers on February 14th, right?
It's a combination. No, it's not one or the other. It's the combo.
Okay. So you're not even against it.
I'm not against you. You need to buy flowers and the candy and maybe some romantic rose petals to sprinkle on the bed or somewhere because it's got to be in a whole romantic package.
It's got to be the whole thing.
Wow. Okay. See, I was under the assumption that Vonda was putting up like anti-chocolate billboards.
Oh, I'm going to sell you chocolates too.
So do you have those? Oh yeah. That's like at the front counter or what? It's like an add-on?
Right. It's that add-on.
And a lot of times we partner with local chocolatiers or somebody who sells them, when you do that cross promotion thing. So.
Wow. Okay. I'm sitting here thinking like, man, they're just, either or. That shows how deep I am into the game, ladies. Like that's where I am. But you guys, it's a tag team. It sounds like. Which flowers are the biggest pain in the ass to maintain?
Hydrangea, because they just suck the water up and then they die, and then you have really unhappy customers. They don't realize you got to add water to them. They're a little more high maintenance. So hydrangea.
I got to Google a picture of that. I can't say I know what that is either. What's like a safe bet? What's like someone who kind of likes flowers, but like, they're maybe not going to take the best care of them. Like, what would you recommend to that person?
Carnations and alstroemeria. Those are more affordable, but also like really long lasting. And they're coming out with new colors. So, carnations were always thought to be like very, I don't know, just ordinary, and people didn't want them. But now they're coming out with new varieties, and I think they're getting a comeback.
Ooh.
The carnation comeback.
Comeback for carnations. All right. Keep your eye out for that in 2021. The biggest comeback here. Now, I that got me to thinking. We talked about the holidays. What about prom? Is that like, it's only one little thing you pin on the shirt or one little, thing around the wrist? Not a big deal, or is prom a big deal for you guys?
Prom used to be a really big deal, but last year, of course, COVID, not so much with prom, but it was actually the 4th biggest holiday for many years. Because,
oh, really?
Yeah, because people were spending a lot of money on the wrist corsages and boutonnieres or handheld bouquets for prom. So it really is a time where it's a mini wedding.
Yeah. Wow. No. Yeah. That's a good point. And then at funerals too, like you don't even realize that that's a big part too, where people just send the arrangements, and some of those arrangements are like real deal,
Yeah, they are. That is actually, some shops do more of the sympathy work than anything else in their business. Because it is such an important thing. It helps families during that time that's very difficult for them. They just kind of show.
People want custom, like a whole Chicago Cubs logo made of flowers, made of all the colors. We've had like an El Camino made of flowers. So there's a lot of cool custom things, and people are willing to pay for exactly what they want.
I've always found it kind of interesting too, that people are always like, oh, like get her flowers. Like, well, she's not going to like flowers. It's either people like flowers or they're kind of indifferent and they don't know. You know what I mean? Like, what's
people have had a bad experience. If they've, received bad flowers once, they're like anti-flowers. They kind of write it off.
What's a bad flower experience? Like you said earlier, like seeing a picture and not getting what you want, or is there anything else you would classify into a bad flower experience?
So it's something that they would buy flowers, right? Somebody sends them flowers and they're dead the next day, or they last 2 days instead of lasting a while. I mean, even roses should last 5 to 7 days. And so if you get flowers the next day, they're dead. They're like, why did they spend money on these? Because I really couldn't enjoy them. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, a bad experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guys like flowers?
Guys don't like to admit it, but they do like flowers.
There you go. That's what I don't even like. That's one thing I don't even know. I don't dislike flowers, but I wouldn't say I like them, but I don't, You know what I mean? It's like a weird line. That's why I asked that question before, where it's like, why I don't really know where I even stand.
So you're going to tell me that you've never received flowers?
No, I honestly never have.
Wow, they might be coming your way now.
All right, I'll check it out. I mean, I don't like it, that. Like they smell good, and they look pretty. Like that's undeniable. But I don't like. I don't know. It's a good question, I guess. Um, what's what about the guy who hands out the flowers at like a red light? Do you not like that guy? Is he taking down the game, or what do you think about that guy?
Well, I appreciate anybody who's trying to make money, right? So I don't dislike that guy. Do you?
No, I don't dislike him. The person who's buying flowers from the car window is not our customer anyway.
Yeah. You have lower
Right.
expectations, I think, rather than spending $100+.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What about all these express companies now? Well, there's like whatever, da 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 da. Like, is that something you guys kind of look down on or no?
You take this one.
Well, you mean like the
Be honest, Vonda. You've been around. You've been in the
online
game for a while. This is your game.
We
This is
call
your
them-
arena.
We call them order gatherers, which means
Okay.
they're out there trying to get in all the orders. We really would rather everybody buy local. You need to shop local, support your local flower shop. A lot of the really bad experiences come from whoever you're talking about there because they're paying big fees, sometimes anywhere from $18 to $28 extra. And the flower shop is getting very little of that. So it's really important to shop local and give the local person your business, and you're going to be more satisfied anyway.
Okay. All right.
But the way to do that is when you're Googling somebody, make sure, when you're looking into that Google listing that you see that they have like a physical location that you could go to rather than those ads that pop up.
Okay. No, that's a good trick. That sounds like a good trick for sure.
Under
So
the
is
map.
that's what you guys look into. Is there any other tips and tricks to know you're buying from a good place? Because that's a common thing. People try a new place and it's like, oh, you get one shot. If they don't come on the 14th or they don't come at all, you're in the doghouse. It's a lot on the line.
That's a lot on the line. So yes, read your Google or Yelp reviews to make sure you have a good reputable place you're ordering flowers from.
Yep.
What's the biggest bribe you've taken that someone's like, hey, you're like, hey, I just don't have any more, or I have this one set aside for this person. I can't give it to him. Like, hey, I'll give you this much, or I'll give you this. Have you had anything like that?
I can't say I've had a bribe. You remember a bribe, Ellie?
Yeah, somebody called like the day of Valentine's Day and wanted 6 dozen roses like delivered in the next half hour. And obviously with roses being in supply and demand, we're like, I don't know if we can do that. And they just kind of were very adamant. And so we got a very large tip, if you will.
There you go.
So it wasn't a bribe. It was a tip.
It was
All
a
right,
tip.
Ellie?
There you go. Okay. That's a good way to look at it. And how about the messages attached? Is there anything you're like, hey, this one's a little creepy, I don't know about this guy?
Yes, there is one. Well, you have one as well, but one of them it just said this: sorry I slept with your sister.
Oh.
Ooh, huh?
Wow.
And then you have one as well.
Oh no, that's the funny story about a delivery. So sometimes people have flowers delivered for Valentine's Day to their wife and their mistress. So that one, I think florists are much like priests, right? Where it's confidential. Everything's confidential. Nobody knows anything. And we always were very careful. Al was my friend who would come in. He would flowers for his wife, flowers for his mistress, which wasn't a problem for us. But evidently he went to another store and bought bathrobes for each one of them and sent the bill to the house. And so his wife was wondering why she only got one bathrobe.
Ooh.
So we have stories like that, but it's got to be confidential.
I hear you. Well, we're not naming names here, Vonda. Let's get anything else. We got anything, any other stories? I know you guys came prepared. I love that. That's great.
Well, another one there's always delivery driver stories. So delivery driver has the best job because they get to deliver the flowers, deliver the joy, see the faces and expressions. When people are really surprised. This driver on Valentine's Day had 2 arrangements for the same young girl and went to the door with the 2 in his hands, and she came to the door with a towel on. Well, she just said, "Oh, what the hey," and dropped her towel, took the 2 arrangements and walked away. He came back. He was like so red, still embarrassed, but boy, made his day.
Wow. What a, if he doesn't have 2, that doesn't happen. That's there
Right.
you go.
Exactly. Right.
Nice day for the delivery guy.
Exactly.
No, that's great. And then, yeah, we're kind of near the end here. Is there anything else there that they kind of wanted to get out? Anything that like people would like to know? That's my big thing, where it's like just common knowledge that people should know more about when it comes to flowers, you know?
Just shopping local is the most important thing. Have an idea of what color you want, give them some guidance, or they're going to give you a suggestion. Picking up the phone is probably the best way to order flowers this year. Obviously online is great too.
Yeah, I think just if you don't know what you want, ask for the suggestion from your local florist, because sometimes you might go there thinking, "Oh, I need roses." And you might just say, "Are roses my best choice for Valentine's Day this year?" And they can give you a suggestion. If they say, "Yeah, we have gorgeous roses and maybe it's a different color than red," take their suggestions. They're the professionals.
And one more thing is that I think, it's easy when you're shopping at Jewel Osco to grab a dozen roses from the front. But remember that women love like receiving that delivery, that surprise. The element of surprise is really it's a big part of receiving flowers. And so ordering them from a florist is another great reason to do that.
Gotcha. Okay. A couple more things just hit me. What about when people do the petals? Do you guys like do pre-petaled? Like, do you have someone do that?
Yeah, we do. And there's usually like a little bag with the rose petals and a ribbon on it. So it's really, it's kind of a special little packaging.
Little add-on.
Gotcha. And then is there a Bridezilla story here? I feel like
there are always Bridezilla stories. And so you just take it one day at a time. They're tough. I don't know. I don't think we need to go into that. Do we, Ellie?
We would probably be here for another couple hours if that was the case.
Right.
Yeah. That's probably, weddings are probably tough. Awesome. Hey, Vonda Ellie, thank you so much for doing this. Where can people find your guys' stuff?
Flowerclique.com. That's flower, CLIQUE.com.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
Awesome. That's it for today, everybody. We'll catch you all next time.